Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be watching and reacting to a Laowhy86 video. The link to the video will be in the description down below, so please go and check it out. Anyways, this video is going to go over the topic of China and Russia. Enemies? Question mark? Anyways, so China and Russia are enemies now. This changes everything. How are they enemies? Why are they enemies? Who are they enemies? Anyways, we're gonna learn a little bit more. I enjoy Laowhy86. It's a pretty good channel. He's very informative. He knows what he's talking about. So yeah, definitely go and check it out. We will watch this here shortly. I wonder what this could be about. Is it land dispute? I mean, the China and Russia do have land disputes, but like, what's it's got to be a deeper level, right? Let's find out. Yeah.
The New York Times wrote in an article published on Saturday that they had obtained an internal planning document from Russia's domestic security agency, the FSB. In this document, intelligence officers refer to the Chinese as the enemy. And
whoa, okay, so it's from a supposed leak from Russia. Russia's calling China the enemy. What?
China is a serious threat to Russian security. It also says that Beijing is increasingly trying to recruit Russian spies and obtain sensitive military technology. What is the Foreign Ministry's comment on this? Thank you.
I'm not familiar with what you said, but let me stress that China-Russia relations do not target any third party and are not affected by any third party.
That was such a non-answer. That was a hugely non-answer.
Do you guys remember when I said that China was going to invade Russia? I know it sounds crazy, but I basically showed
I remember this video.
Evidence that despite being friends on paper, China has secretly been trying to claim Russian territory by renaming areas of Russia that it historically claimed when China was under the Qing dynasty.
That's what China does. China has a name for the whole world. They would name the whole world if they could.
And ultimately make Russia completely beholden to it. Because, let's be honest, right now, China is a financial conduit for Russia to avoid Western sanctions because of its Ukraine invasion. I also recounted my time on the Russia-China border, where I could see, hear, and feel the paranoia that both nations had for each other in real life, not just from headlines. I also discovered how China has been actively allowing Chinese citizens to teach Chinese people how to join the Russian military and how much they'll get paid in return, despite China completely denying that. The amount of pushback that I got was wild. And I had hordes of BRICS accounts, you know, the BRICS alliance, those countries over there, calling me salty because China and Russia are the greatest allied power in history and they would never betray each other. Sorry, suckers. And mostly bots. I have receipts now.
Bots?
Real ones.
It's mostly Chinese bots. Let's be real.
Let's do. Before I showed you that China doesn't trust Russia and they see it as a land grab opportunity. And now we can see with proof that Russia sees China not as a friend, but as the enemy. Their words, by the way. China is the enemy. That's not my opinion either. That's from leaked documents from Russia's intelligence agency, the FSB. That's like Russia's
crazy.
FBI. Do you know why they're calling China the enemy now? Russian spies are monitoring...
Because China wants to take over the world. That's why China's the enemy. China wants to take over the world. China is literally building the largest military operative headquarters in the world right now. Everyone should be worried about that.
China more than any country in the world. And those spies are finding the truth about China. According to the leaked Russian documents, China has used its state-owned companies and universities to mask intelligence gathering, particularly in Russia's far north, up in the Arctic. That's literally textbook CCP strategy. Hide your real intent behind soft power and commerce. Chinese intelligence is reportedly recruiting Russian scientists and engineers, and they're targeting people with access to drone technology, aviation, and even Russia's Arctic strategy. Real friendly, isn't it? But it gets so much worse. Anyway, this is how China operates here in my country, too, the US of A. The Confucius Institutes, the Chinese Students and Scholars Associations, they're literally just spy fronts for China to steal our technology and threaten Chinese dissidents and mobilize intelligence gathering on US soil.
This is why Trump is kicking these students out, because they are spy fronts. Heck, even Canada, which is super lenient on this sort of thing, has kicked out Chinese students because they were known as spies.
For the CCP. In fact, it's a law that they have that everyone since 2017 has to spy on the CCP's behalf. Anyway, it turns out China is not only teasing land grabs in Russia, they're actually doing the exact same thing they do in the US to Russia, their friend. Even more worrying for Russia, just like I predicted, they've uncovered academic studies and leaked maps suggesting that China is quietly reasserting historical claims of parts of Russia's Far East. We're talking areas that were once under the Qing dynasty control, but are now Russian territory. China wants them back, and Russia's found out about it. The intelligence officers say that China is spying on the Russian military's operations in Ukraine as well to learn about Western weapons and warfare. They're basically using Russia's kind of sandbox opportunity to invade Ukraine to see, let's see how the Western weapons are actually working. So when we fight the West, when we fight the US, when we fight these NATO powers, we'll kind of have intel on their weaponry. This was literally just a gut instinct I had based on social media posts in China, and bam, what do you know? I was right. It's kind of a weird feeling to get vindicated by leaked Russian intelligence, to be honest.
What? Okay.
You know what the worst thing in the world is? Well, there's a lot of bad.
Ads. Check Incogni, guys. Use code CMILK to get 60% off their annual plan over at Incogni. We're not going to watch the ad though. We're gonna go ahead and skip that ad.
Kind of mirrors China's threats and claims of Taiwan. You know what we're seeing them do right now. Well. It's not my harebrained YouTube conspiracy anymore. These maps that were shared among Chinese scholars and officials, those are the ones that were actually claiming the territories. They actually call for historic reclamation. Sounds familiar, right? Because it's exactly the same language that China uses for the South China Sea and in Taiwan. Guys, this goes even deeper. Russia's intelligence agencies are also tracking how Chinese students and business people use WeChat to gather and transmit sensitive information. They're worried about ideological and cultural infiltration. Literally, what we are...
And this is happening out in the open, basically, and yet we think, the US thinks TikTok is perfectly fine and not an app that, you know, can be used to push propaganda and certain narratives. It's frustrating, guys. It's frustrating.
Dealing with here in the USA, with TikTok being used for Chinese propaganda, mobilizing people to protest against their own government, and to potentially be used to spread disinformation during wartime conflict. In other words, China's greatest psyop. In other words, Russia, an already authoritarian nightmare regime, they've even had to wake up to the China threat. They basically have to realize what Western countries are realizing and already know about China right now, or I should say the CCP. The CCP brings surveillance, nationalism, and influence campaigns, all while trying to be your friend. Here's a real kicker, though. Unlike the USA and its allies, Russia can't do anything about it. They can't confront China openly. They're too dependent on them. China's buying Russian oil, it's selling them semiconductors, selling them spare parts, offering diplomatic cover at the UN. They even allowed Russian friendship stores to open up around China and fund Russia's war exploits. It's like being beholden to a mafia.
Is that really a thing? Russian friendship stores? Interesting.
Boss, and China is the mafia boss. So what we're seeing is a classic Cold War style, USSR style double game. Public praise, private paranoia. The Kremlin smiles at Beijing while quietly treating them as their #1 threat. I mean, this has so many implications. It really exposes Russia's weakness to the West, and at the same time, it just validates all the suspicion that governments around the world have about China. Like, we knew in America that China hacked our infrastructure. They recently tried to kill our crops with bioweapons. They hacked your cell phone if you're in the US, but come on, of course they did.
It's China. Typical China things. The CCP. Again, I got to reiterate. CCP, not Chinese as in China, Chinese people. CCP, the Chinese government.
China is not our friend. They are literally the evil, maniacal villain that strokes a cat while coming up with the next plan to dominate the world. A plan that we probably still won't retaliate against. But they're also trying to win over the rest of the world. China's trying to take over the rest of the world through the Belt and Road Initiative. They built some garbage infrastructure.
The Belt and Road Initiative is simply there to loan trap companies in order to get better trade deals and rights to particular resources on like rare earth mineral mines and stuff like that.
And then they get all these countries to become beholden to it, all while acting as the savior and friend. But now, these leaked documents from Russian intelligence show that they're treating their friends badly too. While all this is happening, India is actually the one that's pulling ahead. The latest economic reports show that India is outpacing not just China, but also the US and EU in growth metrics. The demographics are on their side.
Hey, look at this. They use the right map as well. That's fantastic. Love to see that.
China's losing people, India's gaining people. There's more global investment in India right now, and democratic governance are actually helping the fact that the world will pay more attention to them instead of China. China always says this. They always says, China's rise is inevitable. No, it's not. China, you keep telling me that your rise is inevitable, but you're a thief state that steals from my country, and your country cannot do anything without the rest of the world. Also, your country cannot be trusted. China can't rise if it cannot steal, and more places are waking up to the fact that that's all you do. Here's the actual takeaway. Russia and China's alliance is built on shaky ground, as I predicted. Now it's confirmed. Their interests are not aligned, their cultures are fundamentally different, and now, thanks to these leaks, we know that there's mutual suspicion baked into their relationship. This can be exploited to levels that are unfathomable. I'm pretty sure that Western governments are salivating right now. Eventually, that mistrust is going to break through the surface into the public, and when it does, the globe that you spin right now could look very different very soon. If you guys enjoyed this, I'd love for you to check out my live show every single Friday.
Check out the China show. China show's a good show. Interesting, guys. Interesting. So this new map here, or this is territory that China wants to reclaim. And there is, where was that new map that signified? It was here somewhere. Where they gave him a new name. Hello. He actually posted all the his sources in his comments, or in his description here. So spying on Ukraine and Arctic espionage. FSB officers claim that Chinese agents have actively monitoring Russian military operations. Fears over territorial ambition. This document also expresses concern that China could be laying groundwork to eventually challenge Russian territorial claims. Counterintelligence program launched from before Ukraine. So, like, a lot is going on, guys. A lot is going on. Okay, so this is... I thought I thought there was a map that gave it a new name. Would China's name for it? Oh, I see. He's the one that posted this. Okay. I was like, I could have swore I saw a map where they've reposted the Chinese renaming for it. But yeah, it's this area here, which is, of course, right off the coast of the Pacific Ocean over here, up in this far eastern area. This island also belongs to Russia, by the way. Interesting. Very interesting. Well then. I'll just reiterate, I think the whole world needs to be weary of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. Their plan is to take over the whole world. That's it's pretty clear. They're constantly redrawing maps, they're constantly claiming territory, they're constantly pushing out their agenda. They're throwing out this propaganda machine in everything that they do. You got to be wary of them. You got to be very, very careful, guys. India did the right thing in banning TikTok. I think the whole world needs to ban TikTok. TikTok is the death clock of the world, in my personal opinion. Anyways, we're going to read some of these comments. Alliance based on shared universal values are the strongest, followed by those based on common interest. The weakest are those formed around a common enemy. There is no alliances between dictators, only exploitation and deep-rooted mistrust. I couldn't agree more. It's the historical case of keep your friends close when your enemies close. Keep your friends close when your enemies closer. Everyone forgot that if the USA, it was the USA that opposed the USSR dropping atomic bombs on China during the Sino-USSR war. Yeah, they were never truly friends. They're only friends out of necessity. Anyone who thinks China and Russia can cooperate together clearly do not know the history of the two countries. The foreign minister guy basically said, what we do with Russia is between us and no one else. Stay out of it. Russia has had a lot of resources that China can use. That's what China wants. China wants all the resources. Russia can't afford to open a new southern front. They are low on resources. With Iran in trouble, this is opportunity for China to strike without triggering sanctions from the West. Man, that would be crazy. We're in World War III. We just don't know it, guys. But China could make a blunder by taking Taiwan, in which opens them to economic ruin. Interesting thoughts. Two countries experiencing serious demographic declines. I never understand how anybody could think China and Russia were genuine allies. It's well known that China wants Manchuria, all of it, and is settling people across the border already. True, that's what China does. China sends in like whole villages worth of people to these areas and sets up these people living there so they can say, they can claim, oh, they're, we have, our ethnic people are living here, so they can claim that area. That's what they're doing to Bhutan. And as if that wasn't enough, all one need is to look at what the CCP does to Uyghurs and Falun Gong practitioners, then ask themselves what the CCP will do to Russia if it gets this chance. True. Both countries have been friends and enemies for a very long time. They never were friends in Chinese. Every other country is given a flattering name except Russia, which is called Hungry Country. Wow. And mostly bots. Thought one caught me taking a sip and dang near spit it out. So true. Okay. China has no strings attached. I work as a delivery driver, and every Chinese person I deliver to doesn't want to go back to China. They're always saying that it's a political thing, which means they hate the CCP. I should also say that I've noticed that I'm delivering to a lot of Chinese people these days. Each year is more and more. China must be losing all of its citizens. I mean, there's a lot of illegal immigration from China into the USA even. Let me read some of the new comments. Since the Sino-Soviet split, axis of evil, Russia isn't any better than China. China doesn't have any allies. Hate to break this to you, but they've always been enemies. Y'all brainwashed, crying, laughing. Always were. Is this base of the channel so stable? Okay. No, if Russia and China are enemies, then America and Israel are enemies. Fascinating video. By golly, the Americans find evidence that the Russia consider China an enemy, and it got to be true. Why did I subscribe to this channel? It's like pure propaganda and chilling, eyes opening to me. Can I see your whole take on do nothing win crown thinking about China? Russia needs to join the West and split with China. Every country is propped by the CCP. Don't fall for it. Russia will never be our friends. I guess both these countries will be buying American military hardware without, of course, hurting any outside third party. Tom Clancy wrote a novel, The Bear and the Dragon, in 2005 that creates a plausible war between the two. Countries don't have friends, they have interests. It's a good saying. Release financial records of Chinese elite. Let's see where their money is hidden. China is under the rule of the great supervisor Winnie the Pooh. According to the propaganda, China is number one. CCP believes the Han race is superior of the world. Speak of this. It's true. It's true. This is what I'm talking about. They do believe that their Han race is like the superior race. They even believe that the Han Chinese people evolved separately from everyone else. Like a different like species of human. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, guys. Brain dead. Tom Clancy feeling vindicated. I might have to read that book. Anyways, guys, again, link to the video will be in the description down below. Please go and check it out. And with that being said, I am out of here. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.